this is DK, and today I'm going to be redrawing this old picture that I was so proud of when I first created it. I remember I sketched her up during a Dungeons & Dragons game, and that night I stayed up for hours completing that mermaid. And although I'm still proud of it, I enjoy it, I thought that I could do something far better now. It's been 7 years. So, hopefully. And I wanted to put a coral, kind of a reef background, because she's based on a mandarin fish, which is a tropical kind of fish, and they're so beautiful, and if you don't know what they look like, I recommend looking them up because they're just so pretty. I'm starting here with a rough sketch, just getting things where I want them. I'm having to adjust the pose a little bit, but I'm trying to keep things as close as possible to the original. I don't want to change things around too much. I want to get the same feel that the original one had. I'm not going to be cutting her off at the waist this time. That was purely laziness. I didn't sketch the rest of it, and then the old one I just covered her up with some dark shadows and hoped that no one noticed that it wasn't on purpose. This time I have her in a position where her tail makes a lot more sense, and I don't have her arm going straight back. Well, not the one that's facing us anyways. For the background, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not great with backgrounds, but there's something that I want to practice a lot because I really enjoy illustration that has highly detailed backgrounds, around the same amount of detail as the characters, really. I'm not a big fan of, with my own work, of characters just floating on white space. They always feel unfinished to me, even if that's the way it was intended to be. But I just put down some blocky shadows, and really it looks in the end like there's a lot of detail, but I'm just using a textured brush and putting in highlights and areas of dark shadow. And then in the end I go over it with a little bit of blur, and it creates the effect of looking highly detailed because of all that texture, but not actually having to put in all the tiny little details. That would be insane. I also wanted it to be a sort of solid color background because that's what the original one had. This is probably the most tedious part of the entire thing. I put down some colors and then I go over them with the smudge tool, and it's probably not necessary, but I just like to do it because it gives me an initial painter-like feel. I'm just testing out colors, and now I'm going in with just a large fuzzy brush and smoothing everything out, detailing the face a little bit. Here you can see that most of that texture is gone. I use a blur filter to get the hair to look a little more natural on the edges, and then I just go in with my dark shadows and my light highlights, and I just slowly build them up. I go over this with the smudge tool as well to give it just a more blended feel, because I'm just using the basic Photoshop brushes that come with Photoshop 7, which is a very old version of Photoshop. So using the smudge tool over the top can make the lines look less harsh. I haven't found a very good brush yet for doing things like hair. I know there's some free ones out there, but I can't get them to work for my old version of Photoshop. Going in and detailing the face is probably one of my favorite things to do. I just really enjoy building up the shadows and highlights and essentially sculpting the face. And I've come a long way from being so scared of adding deep shadows on the face. Now I really enjoy a lot of contrast in there. I went ahead and kept her little chin dimple. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it as close to the original as possible while still making it a much better painting. But I want to keep her large eyes so they're not super realistic. I went away from the sort of anime style looking eyes. Here I'm going in to do the fins, and I just go in with a base dark color that I lay down in lines that connect to the fluted edges. I put the dark where the fluted edges dip in, and then I add highlights where the fluted edges pull up. I just build that up, and over time it ends up looking pretty nice. And then I always add a highlight along the very edge of the fins. There you can see I had to adjust her head. It was a bit too big and it kept bothering me. So with this kind of semi-realism style, it didn't necessarily matter that her head was a little bit bigger, but I just wasn't fond of it. Going in with more details on the fins. This is going by really fast, I know, but I had to speed it up from 12 and a half hours to only 15 minutes long. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing, even if not in great detail. I really wanted to get in these cute little kind of transparent blue fins that the fish have. I thought that they were super cute little touch. I don't have a lot more to say about this piece, but I thought that I would go ahead and mention that this piece is in my Redbubble shop, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. There's also a link to it at the end of this video. And if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up because I'm a small channel and it will really help, and I'm going to be producing more artwork every Saturday for you guys. And if you want to see more of that, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you next Saturday.